for about 30 minutes, then you got to throw it away and get another one. The Packers say they'll go through about 60 of them today. As far as the benches, they've got the jets, they've got the heated benches, all that stuff. The field itself, not in great condition. The middle of the field is bald. It's all grass. Excuse me, it's all dirt. There's some grass on the outside, but not a lot. They've got the underground heating system. They've had to keep that at 80 degrees just to keep the surface temperature at 40. The players say it's okay. It's not frozen. They're going with the big, long spikes, the one we used to call the Bronco Nagurskis, to dig in. But you know what, Pat Summerall, with all that stuff, the best thing I find to keep warm in this kind of situation, get points on the board fast.
That does help you stay warm. The Packers will kick off with Ryan Longwell and back deep Don Morgan and Harold Morrow. Going to be tough to kick that ball a long way today. That's not bad. Just inside the 5, it's Morrow. Morrow nears the 30. Let's look at the Vikings offense. It's been changed around and reshuffled. Badger, Collins, Burke, Lindsey, and Lewinsky. Those who'll touch the ball: Moss, Bennett, Kleinsasser, Byron Chamberlain, the tight end, and Chris Carter. A lot of conversation about Chris going on. The quarterback is really the story. That's Spurgeon Wynn, the second career start. He played with Cleveland last year, started one game. Michael Bennett. And here's the Green Bay defense. Holiday, Dotson, Flanagan, and Hunt, the front four. Holmberg, Harris, and Diggs, the three linebackers. And the secondary, Tyrone Williams and McKenzie. Outside, Sharper and Bawa Ju.
Here's that two tight ends we were talking about, Pat. In fact, both of them are on the same side.
Yep. Kleinsasser, the ball carrier. He goes about 280. And he carries about 280. Key injuries, when you talk about those, you talk about the Vikings, you think about them and what's happened to them. That's not good.
Well, both their quarterbacks and then both their outside linebackers are out today. In fact, they didn't play well last week because they had shoulder stingers, didn't tackle well, and Denny Green says today he needs all the tacklers on defense that he can get.
Bennett. Well, Darren Sharper made the stop. Key injuries to Green Bay, mostly on defense. Gilbert Brown, John Theory, Nate Wayne, and their punt returner, kickoff returner, Alan Rossum.
Well, the first three are three of their front seven. They have Rob Holmberg starting today, and they just picked him up a couple weeks ago.
And he's played well. Bennett again. Gets it across midfield.
Yeah, this is the type of game that Denny Green was talking about. You know, kind of the old single wing type of thing. You go power, you put power on one side and just run right in behind it. Either hand the ball to Jim Kleinsasser, as you said, who weighs 280 pounds, or lead with Kleinsasser and bring Bennett in behind him. And the thing that Dennis Green is doing here is he's getting some field position, controlling the ball, keeping the Packer offense off the field.
Prentice is the deep back, and he gets the carry. And gets another Viking first down before Holmberg brings him down.
You're going to see him come right here. Again, you follow the lead, and you look, and short yardage, you look for a soft spot, and then when you see the soft spot, you just give your burst. See, he's going to start out here to the right, then he has the lead, then he feels the soft spot right off to the right. He started in behind Kleinsasser, left Kleinsasser, because, again, that soft spot was just to his right in the 6-hole.
Bennett is the deep back this time. Tyrone Williams finally.
You know, this is exactly what Denny Green was talking about last night, that he wants to do is just run the ball, you know, use 2 tight ends, control the line of scrimmage, you know, be able to time of possession, as I said, keep the Packer offense off the field, and he's getting it done. I mean, he's getting off to a good start. Spurgeon Wynn has yet to throw a pass. I think Denny Green would play the whole game if Spurgeon Wynn didn't have to throw a pass. Although you do have Randy Moss out there, as I was just saying earlier, is the most dangerous player in the National Football League.
Doug Chapman this time. The Butler effect on the Packer defense.
You can see that, you know, before points per game was 15, since 19. Yards per game was 255. Since the loss of Leroy Butler is 346 now. And again, it's not only Leroy Butler as a player, but it's as a leader.
Leadership,
and it's making adjustments and making calls and getting the defense to fit and everyone in the right place and all those types of things.
They need 2. They got 2. Chapman again.
I'll say this offensive line is a new offensive line because they just announced that Calvin Collins is starting at left guard, and then Everett Lindsey is starting at right guard. So you have 2 different guards in here, but they get a good double. Now, when you get that good double, that starts the push. Then they come off the push and come up on the linebacker. That was Brad Badger and Calvin Collins that created the start of that hole.
Bennett is back, and he gets the carry. And somehow picked his way through.
You know, this looks like in practice or in training camp where you go and you just have what you call a run period. And every play is a running play. Here you see again, Kleinsaucer the lead, but the back, Bennett, in this case, doesn't always follow the lead because sometimes those linebackers key the lead. They key Kleinsaucer. They hit that hole. So the hole is where they left rather than where Kleinsaucer is.
2nd and 5. That's going to be another first down. This one by Bennett.
That's Bennett's 5th carry already. Well, that's about 25, 30 yards already. There's Bennett right here, I formation. You see again, Kleinsaucer goes to the inside, and Bennett is going to the outside or in the off tackle hole. Brett Favre just trying to keep his hands warm. He said in this cold weather, the toughest thing is your hands and keeping them warm. He said, quarterback, you have to take them out of that muff.
Kleinsaucer for a game break. Let's go to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, Chicago, of course, trying to clinch the division and a first-round bye with the victory. Jim Miller hooking up with Dwayne Bates, his first career reception for a touchdown. Bears up 7-0. Let's take it back to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
At Lambeau, no score, but the Vikings have moved it on the ground.
You know, and that's one score that they're not going to show here at Lambeau Field. That Chicago Bear, that's one of Mike Sherman's thing that he doesn't want to know, and he doesn't want anyone else to know what the Vikings, what the Bears are doing.
Spurgeon Wynn with the option, unsuccessful. The ball's down.
And the officials are saying he was down by contact. Again, that was a fumble, but it's not reviewable. That's one of the things when they say down like that, that is not reviewable. Here's the option. See, he fakes the Kleinsaucer, comes out here and he's going to option, pitches the ball right there, fumbled by Bennett. Oh, I don't know that was, let's say Bennett got it back.
That's Doug Chapman.
That must be, yeah, Doug Chapman, excuse me, that he must have got it back because that was a fumble. Bernardo Harris doesn't have control of it yet. But once they say down by contact, that's not reviewable.
And they quickly run another play, or try to.
Well, then maybe they're going to review it. But once they give that signal,
then
it's not reviewable.
That's right.
Prior to the ball being snapped, Green Bay had called timeout. It's Green Bay's first timeout.
So Green Bay wanted to take a timeout, which they did get the timeout. It was Mike McKenzie. You see Mike McKenzie is right here asking for the timeout. But I bet that he got that from the sideline so that they could see if they wanted to, or if they could talk to the referee to see if they could challenge that call.
You're probably right. Back in Green Bay. I'm not sure direction they're going, but I think it's south. Those honkers.
The honkers are going south.
Doug Chapman, the deep back. Spurgeon Wynn back to throw it. Throws the check off behind his intended receiver. That was Doug Chapman, and it'll bring up a fourth.
And that was the first pass that Spurgeon Wynn has thrown as they got to that third down situation because of that option. You know, that's one of those things that you say, geez, you had the running going, you had that lead stuff going, Kleinsasser, Layden, and, you know, Bennett and Chapman and those guys run. You know, why did you even have to go to that option in this weather? Of course, that gave them that third long, and then they didn't convert.
39-yard attempt by Gary Anderson is no good. And so the Packers come away unscathed, I think you'd say. That thermometer tells you a little bit about the temperature. It's almost balmy in Green Bay. Sunny?
It's sunny, but I'll tell you, it's cold down there.
Yeah.
They got that new stuff under, so I guess they don't have frozen tundra anymore. Matt Fryer was really on the sidelines for 15 minutes.
His throw is short. Over 10 yards, he said. That would be difficult. Here's the offensive line, and they've done a whale of a job. Young and together all year, with the possible exception of an injury to Rivera. Those who'll touch the ball, Schrader, Green, Franks, Freeman, and Henderson, though not very often.
Yeah, Mark Rivera playing with a big cast on his right hand.
It should be a flag, and here comes one. Antonio Freeman was escaping to the inside.
And he was grabbed, and that's going to be an automatic first down also.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21. Spot foul, automatic, first down.
Dale Carter.
Here's Antonio Freeman right there. You see Carter just took his left hand, and he grabbed him right on the line of scrimmage. Carter, remember Dale Carter for all those years, a great cornerback, not just a good cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sure.
And a tough one.
Come on, Green. Right now for another game break, let's go to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat, although Atlanta is all but mathematically eliminated, they're still playing hard. Jay Fiedler's pass is tipped. It's an alert Ray Buchanan who picks it off and takes it back to the Miami 29. And Atlanta capitalizes on a subsequent series as Maurice Smith takes it in 2 yards. Pay dirt. It's Atlanta on top, 7-0. Back to Pat and John.
Packers 2nd and 6. Amon Green.
They're keying on Amon Green. They know that if there's a guy in this Green Bay Packer team that is going to hurt them with the run, it's going to be Amon Green. Amon Green was talking about this weather in the field and when it gets slippery and frozen and stuff. Said the biggest thing is you have to be patient. You have to glide to the hole and then try and make a move once you get square and through the hole. But don't just sprint to the hole.
He says he knows about playing in cold weather, having played at Nebraska and growing up there. I don't know if you ever get used to it or not. Favre drops it down to Amon Green.
Yeah, that's the problem when they don't get much on 1st and 2nd down, and then you throw that little short crossing thing on 3rd down and only about a yard or 2 deep, and you don't pick up enough for the first down. Good defense by the Minnesota Vikings.
Josh Bidwell to punt to Troy Walters. Back deep for Minnesota. No score as yet. Fielded by the up back Don Morgan and taken down almost immediately. The ball just doesn't go as far under these conditions.
Bernardo Harris was saying last week, Pat, that it was snowing and he kept looking for the hot apple cider all week, and he said they didn't have any.
They got some this week.
Yeah, he calls that thing a mini bar. He said, I went back to the mini bar and they got the water, the Gatorade, the whole thing. He said they didn't have any hot apple cider. So I looked for it the whole game. Right at the beginning of this game, the hot apple cider is there today.
1st and 10 Minnesota. That's Michael Bennett. This time the Green Bay defense wraps him down.
Yeah, one of the things that the Packers are doing is they're trying to get their safety up now. You don't see him here in this picture. This is just the 7-up, but we'll show him in the next one. And everyone has to rally to the ball. Here comes Sharper now.
Yep.
And what they did is they started him here. Here he is right here getting up. He started in too deep. And then see, he has that cutback fit so that everyone can pursue more to the onside.
Wynn drops the throw. Out of bounds, overthrown. Sharper got a hand on it, that's all.
Well, that's the thing that Sharper's going to do, and they did last time. That they're always going to double Randy Moss. So you have the corner on his side, which is Mike McKenzie in that play, and then you have Sharper coming over, and it's going to be the rotation. Randy Moss is just saying, just throw that one a little lower, but Mike McKenzie started out on him, and he lets him go, and then Darren Sharper in that rotation to Randy Moss comes over. Packers in a 3-man line here.
Spurgeon Wynn is jolted pretty good and knocked out of bounds by Mike McKenzie.
Mike McKenzie's a pretty good player.
Yes, he is.
He's one of those corners that plays zone, plays man. If you want to get out to that side, we'll put a pretty good licking on you. You see here, he's free, and Spurgeon Wynn either has to get out of bounds a little quicker or get ready for that hit. It looked like he didn't do anything to prepare himself for that.
He looked a little too dainty.
This is an interesting thing here. Lee Johnson now a left-footed punter.
This might be, the Vikings might be. Lee Johnson has the ball slide off the side of his foot. Vikings might be the only team with 2 40-year-old players, Lee Johnson being one of them.
I've been telling Snowman all the time, Pat, that you can't hold the ball up there. You see where he was holding the ball?
Yeah.
In his elbow.
Yes.
The Snowmen just don't listen when you're coaching.
Well, got to coach him more.
Yeah, but he'd fumble. I mean, the first time that Snowman got hit, boom, he'd fumble.
Far out to Bill Schrader right now for another game break. Let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Not good news for the Packers, Pat, as we take a look at Jim Miller tossing a second touchdown in the first quarter. That one to David Terrell, 20-yard strike. Bears on top, 14-0. We know the Bears looking to clinch the division with a win and a first-round bye and a Green Bay loss. Back to Pat and John.
That game break in Green Bay is confidential information.
Yeah, no one here is going to know that.
Here's Amon Green at the line of scrimmage. Let's have a look at the Minnesota defense. They're hurting. Not necessarily up front. Sawyer, Hovan, Robbins, and Colonnay. Nelson, Wong, and O'Neal, 2 fresh linebackers. Tate, Thomas, Griffith, and Carter in the secondary.
You know, those 2 fresh linebackers you're talking about, Jim Nelson and Andre O'Neal, had both been with the Packers before. It's interesting how Brett Favre lines up in front of the 2 backs. You see the 2 backs are behind Brett Favre so he can still run.
Favre taking a shot. Schrader
Well, they want to take some shots, and we talked about how Brett Favre said that it's really tough to grip and throw it deeper than 10 yards, and when you throw that kind of throw, you have to palm it. But he said you just can't not throw deep. I mean, you just can't throw everything under 10 yards. You have to take some shots, and he just took the shot there to Schrader.
There are some places that you just flat can't see the ball. The sun just blinding, and it's bright. Josh Bidwell. First punt today wasn't particularly strong, and this one probably won't be either.
I think it's like, you know, these are these new kicking balls, a new ball every time. I think it's like kicking a brick, although
it is.
Got that brick up in the air.
It is. Troy Walters downs it. 0-0 score. 2 minutes, 3 seconds left first quarter. New Year's Day, join us for one of the most storied bowl games with the 66 SBC Cotton Bowl Classic. The 10th ranked Oklahoma Sooners look to stop the Arkansas Razorbacks in their first meeting since 1987. The 66th SBC Cotton Bowl Classic is New Year's Day at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, only on Fox. I'll be there.
You'll be there because you went to Arkansas, or
well, yes,
you're going to be there anyway?
Because I went to Arkansas.
Then you have that could you still yell that pig yell that Arkansas?
I can still do that.
How does that go?
You sure you want to hear?
Well, I don't. Yeah, I want to, and our listening audience.
Pig. That's a toned down version.
Okay.
Spurgeon win, gives to Michael Bennett. Tries to pick his way.
This is how Michael Bennett started. You know, the Minnesota Vikings came out, and Denny Green told us that they wanted to run, they wanted to establish Michael Bennett. Here, he kind of did that one on his own. I mean, he got penetration, got right through it and around it. Here, I mean, he's getting his shoulder square. That's a big thing with any running back. You run parallel for as long as you have to and get those shoulders square as quickly as possible.
Wynn back to throw, screen pass through the hands of Michael Bennett. That could have been coming out of the sun.
Yeah, but I mean that one was just dropped. I mean, a little screen pass. You only threw it about 5 yards. You have to catch that. Although they were about 3rd and 9 anyway. So he wasn't going to get a first down even if he did catch that one. We're talking about how Lee Johnson, first punt, he punted 31 yards, but catching a punt of a left-footed punter is difficult. In fact, the Packers brought in a left-footed punter to practice this week just so that Antonio Freeman could catch some.
Antonio Freeman will be looking right into the sun. Wisely lets it bounce and gets away from it.
And Antonio Freeman, as you said, he had both hands up shielding his eyes before that ball was kicked.
Flag on the play.
It's way back here at the original line of scrimmage. Lee Johnson, 17 years in this league. Of course, the regular punter for the Minnesota Vikings is Mitch Berger, who's on the IR list. Injured his knee and had surgery.
Player downfield on the kicking team, number 50. That's a 5-yard penalty. We'll re-kick.
So they decided to re-kick.
And you watch the left guard right here. You see he goes before the ball is kicked. See the ball there hasn't been kicked. And you see the left guard there. That was an easy one. Lee Johnson gets another shot here. Antonio Freeman again looking right into the sun. You can see last time he had both hands up shielding his eyes.
You can see what he's looking at right over that Milwaukee Journal sign.
Yeah, we were talking to Ron Pitts, who was down on the field earlier, and talking about the field, the conditions, how cold it is. And one of the things that he says is the toughest thing is looking into the sun. Antonio Freeman has his hand up now shielding his eyes.
Another short kick. bounces back. And so
the old left-footed punter's kicking knuckleballs today, isn't he?
Next week, it's another full day of NFL action, beginning with the undisputed champion of pregame shows, Fox NFL Sunday. Then these Packers battle the Giants, so the Falcons take on the Rams. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox. Those are the games rescheduled from week number 2 after the.
This is what Antonio Freeman had to do in adjusting the sun. You see how he tried to get his hand up there to shield it. But the punt was only 22 yards.
Through the hands of Tyrone Davis.
Ooh, and the Packers just got Tyrone Davis back. I think he's weighing 270 pounds now. But he tore a hamstring and he had it surgically repaired, put back together, and that was a perfect pass.
Yep,
Brett
right
Favre
there.
put that right in his hands. When Tyrone Davis, he was a wide receiver at Virginia. Then they made him a tight end, and they used to bring him in all the time and split him out, and he'd always catch touchdown passes. Now Bubba Franks does that most of the time, but that is an extra threat.
This is Amon Green, who manages his balance and picks up about an extra 6.
And that's why Amon Green, you know, that yak yards after contact stat that we keep, that's why he's the leading runner in football of yards after contact, because he just keeps going, but he has such great balance. And that time he picked up about 4 yards after the first contact. Look at this, playing in the cold. There's no points. Yards per play 2.5. Passing 2 out of 9. Punting average 29.
Yeah. Last play of the first quarter. Here's Favre. Incomplete. Freeman. Robert Griffith on the coverage. Freeman thought he was interfered with. No flag.
Well, you're going to see, Griffith did get in there a little early, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And when you can't touch him when the ball's in the air. See, he's okay right there. Now does Robert Griffith come and hit him before the ball gets there? I don't know. From that angle, it looked closer.
Yeah, it did. Oh, he's got him knocked down before the ball gets there.
Up as Denny Green said yesterday, he calls this winter football.
Well,
we're going to play winter football tomorrow, and I think what we watched in this first quarter is winter football.
Josh Bidwell has one go straight up. Takes a Packer bounce, and it down it to 6. That's the end of the first quarter with the score: the Vikings nothing, the Packers nothing. Fox NFL Sunday from Green Bay will continue after these messages. Is standing by when the Packers play their last game of this season. They're going to start major renovation.
Here's what we have here right now, Pat. The temperature is 20, but with the wind chill, it's 4 degrees. These pictures here with the sun out, it looks kind of innocent down there, doesn't it?
Bennett.
They started. Calvin Collins is starting here at left guard for the first time. You see that double that they get there? That's what starts the hole. And I'll tell you, he and Badger have been doing a good job over there on that left side of creating movement, or movement backwards of that Packer defense.
That's where Gilbert Brown would normally be. And there wouldn't be a lot of backward movement if he were there.
Here comes Sharper up. You see him right there to get that 8th man up to stop that run.
Hey, Joe.
Let's go down to Ron Pitts.
John Madden, you were talking about the heating system here. You probably have in your garage what you need to heat this field up. Antifreeze and PVC piping. 31 miles of this piping run underneath the field, and they heat up the antifreeze with huge boilers they have behind the stadium. Now, the biggest advantage to this is that it's not the old electrical system, which was either on or off, and when they would take the tarp off and turn it off, that heat would escape and the whole field would freeze over. They try to keep the heating system at about 50 to W16. Today, like I said earlier, it's at 80. All that to keep the tundra unfrozen.
Hey, it's over. Hey.
Bennett again. For a game break, let's again go to James Brown in Los Angeles.
In fact, you know, Tampa is in the playoffs with an Atlanta loss. Ball State rivals are cheering this on as Chris Chandler is picked off by Brock Marion. He walks it in 26 yards to pay dirt. And in the second quarter, it's all tied at 7. Back to Pat and John.
At Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. On the frozen tundra and all that.
Well, as Ron Pitt say, the way with all that 30 miles of cable or stuff underneath that, there may never be another frozen tundra.
You know, that's right. Here's Spurgeon Wynn taking off and getting it up for a Viking first down.
You know, every young quarterback has that problem. You know, whether you go head first or feet first. If you go feet first, you're protected. You can't be hit. If you go head first, you can be hit. Then they get in that position that they're not sure what to do. And I think your instincts will always tell you to just put your head down and bull forward. That's exactly what Spurgeon Wynn did.
And if you're going to keep going head first, you're going to get hit, as you said. If you're going to get hit, you're going to get hurt.
Yep, and that was a 14-yard gain. Packers know that they're going to have to stay in their lanes and pass rush.
Bennett stopped by Fonnie Holiday.
Yeah, we were showing earlier how Darren Sharper's starting to get up there, that 8th man up to get the safety up to help with the run. And that's the time Denny Green would, you know, I mean, if you had Dante Culpepper, that's the time that you start to go to your wide receivers. And that's the time you go to Randy Moss, because you can't have 8 men up and double Randy Moss. So if you go 8 men up to stop the run, here's Randy Moss right now in the slot. But they have gotten into the 8-man, so they have gotten some double coverage off of Randy Moss.
Intended for Chris Walsh, the special team guru.
Well, he was the outside guy, and Randy Moss was in the slot. Randy Moss kind of ran a loop pattern, and Chris Walsh ran the slant. I'll tell you, Mike McKenzie just came right up on Randy Moss. There's no way that they were going to let him have the ball short and then make one of those long runs. Spurgeon Wynn has yet to complete a pass. He's thrown 5 times, and the only thing the Vikings really have going so far offensively is some running on the left side.
This is 3rd down. Spurgeon Wynn is sacked by Jim Flanagan, who broke through clearly right in his face.
Jim Flanagan from Green Bay, the old Chicago Bear. He's one of those guys, you talk about a motor that goes 100 miles an hour. That's Jim Flanagan. And you're just going to see he's right here. And he just did that with determination. I mean, you know, he busted through 2 guys, and the next thing that he saw was Spurgeon Wynn. And he had a heck of a takeoff on that play, Flanagan did.
The punt bounces backwards, is touched by the Vikings at about the Green Bay 48. Still no score, still not much offense generated by either side. Back in Green Bay, one of the favorite sports around here.
Dale Carter pulled his hamstring, and right now Eric Kelly is playing for him.
Amon Green gets the carry on first down and gets nothing. Andre O'Neal made the stop.
Andre O'Neal was the linebacker we're talking about, is starting for Lemansky Hall today. It was with the Green Bay Packers. In fact, as I said earlier, both outside linebackers that are starting today, Jim Nelson and Andre O'Neal, had both been with the Green Bay Packers. And coming back to play against your old team, and especially in O'Neal's case, a team that cut you. You know, you always have something to say, well, I want to show those guys they were wrong.
Isn't that true? Doesn't make any difference how long ago it was. There's always something different about that. Incomplete. Favre intended for Schrader, broken up by Griffith.
Hey, Brett Favre is having a problem throwing the ball today, and then when he does get one there. His receivers are having trouble catching it
and seeing it.
He's telling Bill Schrader there was something there on that pattern that they weren't on the same page. You know, when a quarterback throws the ball, he doesn't throw it to the receiver. He throws it where he anticipates the receiver's going to be. So the receiver's anticipation has to be the same thing as the quarterback's, or you're going to have the ball go awry like that one did.
Shotgun to begin things. Far deep. No flags on this one. That's a shocker. It was intended for Bradford. That looked like a tackle when the ball was on the way down.
Yeah, but that's the old thing. Dale Carter goes out. Eric Kelly comes in for him. You always go to work on the guy that just comes in at corner. And he's saying he just kept running. I don't know. That ball was short. Bradford was trying to come back for it. Kelly just kind of kept running and ran into him. I don't think that was a pass interference.
Bidwell back to punt.
The fans do though, don't they?
I agree with the fans.
You too?
Yeah.
You'd boo me too then.
Well, no, I wouldn't.
Well, you'd boo the officials then.
Yeah. At the 31, the Vikings will have the ball. Happy New Year. 0-0. Back in Minnesota. Back in Green Bay, where you can tell from the Minnesota breath it's cold.
You know, the Minnesota Vikings have just made 3 changes in their offensive line. Everett Lindsey went from right guard to left tackle for Brad Badger. Corbin Lucina came in for Calvin Collins, and David Dixon is in at right guard for Everett Lindsey, if that makes sense.
It's 1st and 10. That's Bennett. That's a tough run, and there's a flag on the play.
Well, there are all kinds of flags down there. Bennett is really running hard today. You know, he was a rookie #1 draft choice and out of Wisconsin, and they really thought that he was going to be the thing, and then he kind of got injured, banged up, hasn't carried the ball a lot, never really got into a rhythm with this offense. But we've seen him before, and he has great speed. And he looks like he's going to be the real deal, you know, once he can get, you know, with a pretty good team and, you know, and get some rhythm going and stay healthy.
15-yard face mask on the defense, number 37. 15 yards will be added to the end of the run. 1st down.
Tyrone Williams.
That's going to make it a big play, because Michael Bennett had made a big play before this 15-yard penalty. You see him here. He gets a little stiff arm there. Runs through a couple of tackles right there, and there's the face mask right there by Tyrone Williams. He grabbed the face mask, grabbed him from behind. That was a tough 15-yard penalty.
Following a good run, good effort by Bennett.
And some missed tackles by the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Bennett again. Stopped by Holiday.
You know, one of the things that every player and coach talks about when you're talking about whether it's 4 degrees down there, you know, with the wind chill and everything, and they all talk about, you know, that it gets warmer if you get ahead. So a big part of winning a game is getting ahead early, and neither team has been able, you know, to get that started yet. But they say that the team, you know, once you get a touchdown or 10 points late, it gets warmer for you and colder for them.
Chris Carter takes the pass from Wynn.
Tyrone Williams come up and made that tackle. He's kind of proud of himself there, but it is a good tackle. I mean, because they're going to get these short things. Now, once they get a short pass, you can't let them get anything else. And you have to get up there and make that tackle. You can look at this play selection now. The Minnesota Vikings have ran the ball 23 times and attempted to pass only 6.
They need 5 for a first. Chapman is the back. Fastball outside. And will have another field goal attempt.
Spurgeon Wynn is yet to complete a pass because that one to Carter was a run because it was, you know, thrown behind the line of scrimmage, thrown backwards. So that didn't even count as a pass. So Spurgeon Wynn has yet in this game to complete his first pass. And, you know, Randy Moss, he's thrown one to him. And, you know, I always had the thing, and I've always said this, that I think you have a thing and you throw 2 deep ones to Randy Moss every quarter. No matter who your quarterback is, just get it out. I mean, he's too big of a threat not to throw it too deep.
From 44 yards out, Anderson is good. And so the Vikings are first on the scoreboard with 8:16 left in the first half. 3-0. Fox tonight, start your New Year's celebration early with the best night of television on television. Blast off with Futurama, then it's King of the Hill, The Simpsons, Malcolm, and the X-Files. The New Year's Bash kicks off tonight at 7, 6 Central, right here on Fox.
Look at how the Vikings are lined up there. They got this whole group thing happening here. A couple guys out here and then a couple guys out on this side. And what that is to do is to foul up the blocking assignments of the Green Bay Packers. And, you know, everyone has to take a man on your kickoff return, but they're not going to let you know where they are until the last minute.
Yeah, you number them, so they're trying to confuse what number do to. That's Dorsey Levens bringing back the kickoff. And Dorsey dropped it and returned it well. Let's go to Los Angeles for a game break. James Brown.
Hey, Pat, Dallas answered San Francisco's touchdown drive. 9 plays, 80 yards. Quincy Carter, Darren Chiaverini makes it 10-7. Dallas and Pat, the phones have been ringing off here. A lot of Razorback fans who were thrilled to hear you do the Big Suey call. Back to Pat and John.
Well, if it's that good, I can do it again and better.
Well, you can do it bigger because JB said that was a Big Suey call. I've heard you do a Big Suey call. That wasn't a Big Suey call.
Come on, Green. Straight ahead for about 3.
You know, I know it's cold and, you know, 4 degrees with a wind chill, 20 degrees and all that stuff, but the Packers look awfly sluggish to me in this first half.
They really have.
They don't look like a playoff team or a team that's getting ready to go to the playoffs. And you know, I mean, they're supposed to thrive on playing here in this weather, and so far they're struggling in this weather.
Green again.
I'm on Green.
The Vikings are playing harder, however, than they have in recent weeks.
Well, and that's, you know, we were saying that the Green Bay Packers have looked sluggish, and part of that is the hitting of the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that when you fly around like that and tackle the way the Vikings have been tackling this first half, they will make an offense look sluggish.
2 missed tackles,
which is pretty good for the Minnesota Vikings.
3rd and 3. Favre would operate from the shotgun. The ball's loose. Favre, I think, may have gathered it back, or a Packer might have, but it's on the ground.
I think it's Mark Tauscher. I think the old right tackle ended up with it.
Tauscher did end up with it. But there was a flag on the play.
Yeah, and it's holding the Minnesota defense, which will be an automatic first down if it's against Minnesota.
First downs are very infrequent.
But that ball came out of there.
Yep.
Mark Tauscher, the offensive lineman, ended up with it. Referee today is Larry Nemmers. Denny Green is looking on and saying, what's the call? If you know what it is, tell us. I always wonder what they're talking about when they get there. I mean, if they know what they saw it and they know what they're going to call, then just do it.
But they don't know.
Then he's shaking his head. Oops.
Oh.
He was all ready to say that. Then he had to pull it back.
Ball.
He'll go over and talk to his head linesman one more time. One more time to his umpire, and now he's ready.
Holding. Defense number 25. That's a 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, that's a big thing. It was 3rd down, and it becomes automatic first down. You see, there's Eric Kelly. Hasn't held him yet.
Got him now.
I guess it's that left hand in there, huh? Now watch the fumble here by Brett Favre. I mean, he's just going to throw that ball. It goes up in the air. Mark Tausch's number 65. He ends up with it. But again, that holding is such a big thing because it's only a 5-yard penalty. But the key is that was 3rd down, automatic first down.
That's a big break for the Packers. Flag on the play. Wide open is William Henderson. Ball's loose again. The Vikings have it, but there's a flag before the play started. Jim Nelson recovered for the Vikings. Let's see.
Defense number 55 was offside. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Lemansky Hall was offside.
So that was a big break for the Packers because they had William Henderson was wide open down the middle. They blocked their tight end Bubba Franks. You'll see him go, and then William Henderson goes inside. I don't see any offsides there. I'm not exactly sure what they called.
Lemansky, they called.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Where is he?
Well, he would. I mean, that would be the linebacker there.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a defensive lineman. I don't see any offsides. I don't think there was any offsides there. In fact, I know there wasn't any offsides there.
Safety blitz coming is picked up. Bradford.
Of course, we know that it was a good thing that they got that offside because Henderson did fumble, and that would have been the Minnesota Vikings ball there. And they ruled offsides, and we didn't see any offsides. So the Packers caught a break.
And they have 1st and 10. And Green gets the carry. Sawyer on the stop.
Well, the thing that they want to do is the onside wants to make them cut back, and then that offside gets him when he cuts back, and that's exactly where they trap him there. You watch him. He's going to come to the right here. Now watch this backside here. You see they're keeping their containment, and Sawyer just comes right down the line of scrimmage. When Amon Green goes for that cutback, there's number 97. Even when the ball goes away from you, you have to maintain your gap.
The way they run.
Now there's an offside.
That's with some authority. They've held Amon Green in check pretty well.
Encroachment. Defense number 99. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Chris Hovan.
Chris Hovan there trying to get the jump. Chris Hovan is always looking for extra things. You know, like a quarterback moves his hand, moves his foot just before the snap, and he tries to get that key to get the jump. That time, whatever his key was, led him to a wrong time jump.
Green again is stifled. Kylie Wong.
I'm impressed with the way this Minnesota Viking defense. We talked about that, how they're tackling. We watched them last week, and they didn't look like they tackled at all, and they gave holes and everything. But watch this whole pursuit thing. I mean, everyone is down. Everyone has their gap. There's no place to get to the outside. And the minute that he tries to cut back, there's a middle linebacker, Kylie Wong,
who spun off his block to get back into the play.
And as he's pursuing, he always has to stay a little behind the runner.
Showing blitz. They don't come. Dorsey Levens gets a Green Bay first down.
And Orlando Thomas, the guy that showed the blitz, also missed the tackle. He was right up there. Dorsey Levens kind of makes him. But watch Orlando Thomas here. He's going to fake the blitz. That makes Brett Favre come right back here. And then you're going to see Orlando Thomas miss the tackle. See, he has a shot right there. Dorsey Levens makes a miss and gets a first down. Orlando Thomas, you know, they had benched him and they started Tyrone Carter. And then they just brought Orlando Thomas back this week.
Reverse coming. Driver. Donald Driver puts Green Bay in the end zone.
Great block by Brett Favre.
Yeah,
Brett Favre made the block that sprung Donald Driver. The more things you can do. But you know that Brett Favre would do that. Donald Driver has the speed to run the reverse, but the block that sprung him was number 4. How many quarterbacks in all of football would do what Brett Favre does? Watch the reverse here. Now watch Favre here. He's going to be at the left. And watch him right here. He's leading. He's leading. Now right there is the block that breaks Donald Driver free. That was on Orlando Thomas, who had just missed the tackle on Dorsey Levens the play before.
Ryan Longwell for the extra point.
Brett Favre's even exciting when he blocks, isn't it?
It wasn't just a passive attempt either.
No, no. If he's going to do something, he's going to do it all the way.
Here's a guy and has done some rocking and rolling. Just rolled one just a few seconds ago.
I mean, he can do it all. He can throw it, he can run with it, and when need be, he can block as he just did there. Let's watch that play again on the clicker. We'll see here. First is the pitch to Amon Green. Now he has to make the handoff right here to Donald Driver. He makes a perfect handoff. But watch Brett Favre. He gets on a course, and look at him. Look back here. See, he's here. He knows he's going to make a block. He looks back to see exactly where Driver is. Then he goes and he gets Orlando Thomas right there, and that frees Donald Driver to get in the end zone.
He looked like Guy McIntyre coming around the corner.
Did you see? I mean, he looked like he knew exactly what he was doing, and he looked back to see, you know, where his guy was and where Thomas was.
Looking at the inside
in his sight, did it perfectly.
Here's Bennett. Bernardo Harris, one of the tacklers.
That's the thing, I think, that is going to make the temperature a little colder now for the Minnesota Vikings, and maybe a little warmer for the Green Bay Packers, and maybe get them going a little, because just before that drive, you know, we just brought up that they looked awfully sluggish, and you don't know what's going to get you started, but that Donald Driver reverse was the play that did get him started.
That was a little warm-up. Here's Wynn throwing incomplete. Harold Morrow had his hands on it. Wouldn't have been a first down.
Yeah, Spurgeon Wynn is yet to complete a pass, and you know the tough thing about it is you have a Carter out there, and you have a Randy Moss, and you know that are kind of the offense of this team, and you don't have weather conditions to get him the ball either, but you don't have a quarterback that is going to get him the ball.
That's a lot of high-priced talent that you can't get the ball to. Wynn back to throw it. Randy Moss makes the catch, coughs it up, but he was down.
And they are getting one-on-one coverage out here with Chris Carter. I mean, he has some things going. Jake Reed had a deep one going there. You know, I mean, if the weather were better and if Dante Culpepper were in here, I think there would be some things against this defense that they would be able to throw.
2 minutes to go. The Packers have the lead 7-3 over Minnesota. 2 minutes left in the first half. Green Bay 7, Minnesota 3. The Vikings are about to have to punt. Randy Moss has been thrown to twice, 1 reception. Antonio Freeman, this time he'll be able to see the punt. Sun's at his back. Free just lets it go, and it takes a roll into the end zone.
No,
Did the right thing.
And that worked out well for him,
yeah,
because he picked up 5 yards by not catching it. Look at this. You know, Brett Favre's done this before. Didn't realize how big what that guy was. Remember Spellman?
Yeah.
Just straight arm here. So these types of things with blocks and being physical, you know, he's kind of a nose tackle in a quarterback's body, or
he considers himself physical.
Well, what he is he's a football player, and whatever, you know, you block, you tackle, you throw, you catch, you run, you do all those things.
And you like to play the game. Favre, short pass complete to Bubba Franks. We expected more of that.
Yeah, but they don't throw to Bubba Franks until they get down around the goal line. I mean, that Bubba Franks has never done much in this area of the field. It's been once you get on the other side of the 50 generally, and specifically when you get close to the goal line.
They get the play off after a lot of, look at it. Amon Green has the screen pass, but the way Favre got it out of there, that's worth another look.
Yeah, you have to find a hole on that thing, and these guys get, now Amon Green is going to come up and he's going to get lost in there. You see him come up and he's in there, and because he has to let his lineman get out in front of him, and then Brett Favre has to find that hole to get the ball to Amon Green.
A half hook.
Well, that's Brett Favre.
Yeah.
He just kind of flips that thing out, times it up with his lineman. They make the cut right off it. But here it is again. You see here, you wait, you get your lineman, that's the screen. You get the lineman out in front of the running back, and the ball just gets dumped off to him by the quarterback. You know, we were talking to Mike Sherman, the coach of Green Bay Packers, the other day, and he said that Brett Favre keeps getting better. He said he's more accurate now than he used to. He said he has a better touch than he used to have. He said, believe it or not, he throws the ball harder than he ever has.
That's hard to believe. Pass is there. Knocked loose. Corey Bradford. Is that a reception?
No, they're saying no. The Green Bay Packers sideline is saying it was. The officials are saying no. Here's Corey Bradford. Again, not real consistent, but does have good speed. And again, he has to come down. He has to get the ball and then come down with both feet and have control of it. See, by the time that second foot came down, he didn't have control of it.
I think he did have control of it early.
Yeah, but he was still in the air.
Yeah, that's right.
And he has to have control of it when his feet hit the ground.
2nd and 10. 59 seconds left. Favre has it batted away. He's trying to set up another screen pass to Amon Green. Sawyer left it backwards.
They were right there, and that's, you know, part of this thing is you're going to get a pass rush, but you have to get those guys blocked, and you have to get rid of the ball before they get there. That's the tough thing is you want to block them a little, then you let them go so you can get out, if you're an offensive lineman, out in front of the screen. The Packer offense let him go a little too quickly because Brett Favre didn't have a chance on that one.
3rd down. Bubba Franks doesn't get a first.
Again, that's good defense. I mean, they know that the things that the Vikings have to take away are the things that would get the Packers a first down. the things you're going to let them have are the things that don't get them a first down.
Special thank you.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league, and the Fox Sports ticker will keep you updated with up to the second stats.
I got one for Chris Collinsworth.
What?
Last night when I was over at the Minnesota Vikings, they came in and Chris Carter had his envelope with his key in it, and it said Chris Collinsworth. Chris Carter goes to hotels and registers as Chris Collinsworth.
Why?
Because that's under an assumed name, but his assumed name is Chris Collinsworth. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, he changed his name from C-H-R-I-S, Chris, to C-R-I-S, like Chris Collinsworth, because when he was in middle school in Ohio, Chris Collinsworth was playing for the Bengals, and he was his idol. So now he changed his name to be like Chris Collinsworth, and then he uses his name when he goes on the road. And he registers in the hotel as Chris Collinsworth.
Main thing I get out of that is Chris Collinsworth is older than Chris Carter.
Well, a lot, because he was in middle school when Chris Collinsworth played for the Bengals, but Chris Collinsworth was his idol.
Nothing wrong with that. Don Morgan. On New Year's Day, join us for one of the most storied bowl games with the '66 SBC Cotton Bowl Classic.
So, did you ever play against Oklahoma?
No, we played Oklahoma State, not Oklahoma. Picked off. Darren Sharper, and the ball's loose again.
I think Minnesota got it back, or I thought originally they got it back.
Well, they signaled, their players signaled they got it back. Green Bay is now signaling we have it.
Bia Miller there, number 94, is saying they got it.
Yeah.
Nelson is saying they got it. The important guy, the referee, said the Minnesota Vikings have it. You see the whole play here, the interception. Darren Sharper is back in that too deep in that cover two. You see he gets a good jump right up there. See, he was back as a safety. He had the second half, and then now he's making, now you got to put that thing away. It gets stripped just before he goes down.
So the Vikings get a break there, get it back. Harold Morrow in the backfield with Wynn.
I tell you, Darren Sharper really did get a good jump on that, didn't he?
Morrow gets the draw carry.
Hey, it's over.
Look at this, Pat. We've had 2 turnovers, and it was the same play.
Same play.
It was what we just had.
Yeah.
Spurgeon Wynn threw an interception. Darren Sharper had a fumble. Sharper's as part of the tundra. Now, if it's not frozen, it can still be a tundra, right?
Sure it can.
So that's Darren Sharper's wearing part of the tundra. How does he know it's there?
It's got to be heavy.
No. Tundra on your hat is light. But that's a great thing about playing outdoors, is those kinds of shots and
those kind of names.
Those were the great players and the great days. And now look what you have. Caution. Field and sidelines are heated.
Yeah.
Do not stick anything. That means anything in the ground.
Question is, who would want to?
Yeah, but I don't know who would have anything on their person to stick into the ground.
Don't forget the Visa halftime report coming up with JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris. That's Harold Morrow again. They'll have scores and highlights from around the league, and the Fox Sports ticker will keep you up to date, updated with up to the second stats. It's coming up at the half.
Of course, then they're going in their normal pass rush.
A new turn comes along every day.
High hat.
Stay on the line.
Wynn fires deep. Incomplete. That's the end of the first half with the score: the Packers 7, the Vikings 3. Fox NFL Sunday will continue from Green Bay after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
This January, Boston
ready to start the second half. Wind chill factor about 4 degrees as the Vikings wrap up and try to stay warm. It used to be that when these two played this time of year, it didn't make any difference whether you were in Minnesota or you're in Green Bay.
Well, those were the Bud Grant years.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, and all those great Minnesota Vikings players, and Bud Grant, a great coach, and didn't want his players to show that the cold bothered them, and they didn't. I mean, I remember coaching the Raiders, and we went in there and played the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, and it was tough. I mean, we lost to them, and you look at those guys, they were going, you know, without sleeves, and so on. You started thinking, these guys are crazy, man.
Nobody wore gloves.
They're gonna whip us.
Yeah.
And they did. But that's what Bud Grant had going up there, and that's what the Green Bay Packers, you know, with Mike Holmgren, with Mike Sherman, that's what they have going here. Or maybe I should just say with Brett Favre, that's what they have going here.
Well, that would cover it pretty well. He's never lost here when the temperature is below 34. Dorsey Levens. Now he's got some room. Ron Pitts had a chance to visit with Mike Sherman. Let's go down to Ron.
But you guys are ahead right now. Start off a little sluggish offensively. What do you have to do adjustment-wise to get that change?
Well, we've had great field position. We haven't taken advantage of anything that we've had. We have to be able to run the football and block them better than we're doing right now. They're not doing anything we didn't expect. They're rolling the safeties down, playing too deep, just as we practice. So we need to be able to execute better, catch the football when we can, and run the football effectively. Something we're not doing right now, but we'll do better in the second half.
Hey, it's over.
Amon Green gets the carry, and as Denny Green pointed out, that's the guy we got to control, and so far they've done that.
Well, and then as Mike Sherman pointed out, that's the guy we have to get going. So when you hear both coaches talk, you know, you could get some things down to some pretty simple facts.
Yeah,
one thing to stop Amon Green or get Amon Green going, depending on which side of the coin you're on.
2nd and 7. Favre, no chance. Antonio Freeman, the target.
But the one thing, the Minnesota Vikings aren't always staying in that too deep. You know, a lot of times they give you what they call that too deep shell, and they look like they're too deep, and then they'll bring that safety down to give them the 8th man. And both the Minnesota Vikings are doing that, and the Green Bay Packers are doing the same thing. So it looks like cover 2 all the time, but it's not always cover 2.
Brings up 3rd and 7.
Yeah, and this is when they play nickel now, because the Packers have 3 wide receivers.
Shotgun snap is good. Favre throws, and the pass is good to Corey Bradford.
Yeah, we just talked about 3 wide receivers. Corey Bradford being the 3rd wide receiver, spread out here against a zone defense. He just runs that in, gets in that hole. Now Brett Favre, he buys a little time. Watch his eyes here. See, he starts to run to the right a little, finds that hole that he could throw that ball into Corey Bradford.
That little window.
Yep, and he found it with his eyes, but he also found it with his feet.
Here's Green again, and again he's controlled. Not much for Amon Green.
You know, and that's where the Packers really have the advantage, is because they have both. I mean, they want to run the ball, but it's not bad when you put the ball in Brett Favre's hand, even though, you know, it's tough to throw in these conditions, but I would still take that. That's not a bad deal.
That pass completion from Favre to Bradford is the longest completion today for either team.
Well, we talked about that earlier. That Brett Favre says that you can throw it under 10 yards, but over 10 yards is very difficult.
Rolls right. Ball's loose. Not much reaction from the Viking sideline.
Yeah, William Henderson came up with it. Just watch, you know, Brett Favre, most of the time, if he runs or bootlegs, is always going to be out to his right. So they play the containment on that side. And there he just gets it stripped. You want to see the containment comes in here. and the ball is out there, and more guys, you know, over the years as they go for the tackle, on the process of going for the tackle, they go for the ball and get a strip. Luckily, William Henderson was standing right there to recover it.
3rd and 11. Favre's throw is a little bit low for Bill Schrader, and they'll have to punt.
Schrader's kind of have a frustrating day.
Yeah.
Sometimes he thought he was open and didn't get the ball. Sometimes Brett Favre thought he should have run a pattern other than what he did.
Josh Bidwell back to punt it.
In fact, Brett Favre ran right off to the sideline, and he went over and talked to one of the coaches and some of the offensive Packer players.
Walters. Flag on the play.
It was thrown from this side.
Yep.
Thrown right about the 14-yard line. It's against the Minnesota Vikings.
Illegal block in the back. During the return, number 30, 10-yard penalty. First down, Minnesota.
Travis Prentice. There it is right there.
There it is, right in front of you. Or more importantly, right in front of the official on that side.
Whose hands are those?
Those are mine.
Yeah.
There's Sandy Grossman, our director, eating that first prod. Jeff Blum, the PR guy, from the Green Bay Packers. That's what you do before the game. But I'm out there. My mustard froze up on me a little, though. There's Jeff Blum from the Green Bay Packers PR department. One of the real good guys. And we do everything for them. I mean, we feed them, we house them, we bathe them, we do everything.
Bennett, there's a flag on the play. McKenzie might have gotten a piece of the face mask.
Chris Carter talked to last night and says that he believes that he won't be playing in Minnesota next year. Although he says he can still play, still wants to play.
5-yard face mask from the end of the run against the defensive team. Still first down.
Just watch. Here's Chris Carter right here. Just watch him at the end of the play. You know, he's an action guy, and if he's not going to catch any passes, he wants some kind of action. He also wants some kind of penalty call. Anyway, he was saying that he doesn't think he'll be back with the Minnesota Vikings, but he still wants to play. Still wants to play a couple more years. There was some talk that maybe he would play in Green Bay, and
I don't think so.
Everyone in Green Bay said no. Brett Favre kind of said, well, no, we don't want that deal, and Leroy Butler said that they don't want him, so that's probably not going to happen.
Here's Bennett.
Boy, he does have speed, that Michael Bennett. Let's look at Spurgeon Wynn's pass chart here. Again, the completions are the yellow dots. And you see here, there's only one right in there. He only completed one pass. All his others were incomplete, throwing most of them to the right. And again, it doesn't make any difference right or left or middle. He only completed one pass for 3 yards. He completed another one. He completed a lateral. That one to Chris Carter was a lateral.
Here's Bennett around the corner again, or attempting to get around the corner. Flag on the play.
And that flag came flying. And everyone's talking about what it is. That's holding, that's this, that's that. Guys arguing, that's what you do. You play until the whistle blows, then you start arguing for your case.
Well, while they're arguing,
Personal foul. 15-yard face mask. Gets the defensive team. Will add 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Here it is right here.
Bernardo Harris.
Bernardo Harris. You see he has his left hand in there. And again, there's a 5-yard variety and the 15-yard variety. that being the 15 because he got his hand in there, grabbed, twisted, and turned.
So it's 1st and 10.
Well, the Vikings have done a good job of getting out of the hole. Remember, they were backed up here, and this crowd was really making it tough on them. But Michael Bennett, and then that penalty helped.
From their own 42, Bennett gets a yard.
It was funny when Denny Green was talking to Ron Pitts how he didn't even mention the quarterback, and there's a guy that they're missing today, Big Gilbert Brown. Gilbert, has a bad toe and foot.
How can he possibly be anyway close to comfortable?
Well, because he has some extra stuff there. I mean, he has some combinations in there that kind of keep you warm, but he had a lot more. He lost about 50 pounds of combination.
I know. That's Doug Chapman spinning ahead.
That's one thing that the Minnesota Vikings are doing today is they're mixing up their runs. I mean, they're going 2 back, 1 back, bringing in Bennett, then get a little change of pace with Chapman. Remember last time they played up there in Minnesota was Chapman,
who had the big day.
I think he had 90 yards rushing against this Green Bay Packer defense.
Randy Moss and Chris Carter. They've been some duo. Targets for Spurgeon win, but they run the draw play for no yards with Chapman.
Yeah, that's the thing that they tried last time that we were saying that they're looking for now, the old high hat. You see, they're going to give him the high hat. Watch these heads just come up when the ball snaps. You see the high hat there? Here's a high hat. Here's a high hat. Here's 2 high hats. So then they're supposed to rush the passer and forget about the run. But I think with Spurgeon win only completing 1 pass for 3 yards, the Packers said to heck with it. We'll just play draw.
We'll worry about the high hats later.
Well, they read high hat, and instead of playing pass, they played draw.
End over end. Sharper back to receive the punt. And it rolls out of bounds at the 4. And that's where Green Bay will get started. In the shade at the 4. Winning. Pat Summerall with John Madden at Lambeau Field in Green Bay.
Yeah, we talk about how cold it is in the players, but how about these fans sitting out here in
they don't mind
4 degrees? I don't know how they do it.
But they do it often.
Not only do they do it, but they enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
We looked at Spurgeon wins, and let's look at the passing chart of Brett Favre. Well, see, remember we said that he said that it's tough to throw anything over 10 yards. You could look, everything over 10 yards for him today has been incomplete. And all his completions have been in this area here. Again, the gold buttons, they're all under 10 yards.
2nd and 9. Green almost broke it. Finally gets outside the 10 to about the 12.
You always talk about the battle of field position and how it works. The Minnesota Vikings did a good job because they started on the 7-yard line. Then after they punted, the Packers started on the 4-yard line. So you say, they didn't score on that. Doesn't show in the stats. It doesn't show in the points. But that drive, of course, it was helped by 2 face mask penalties. But that drive by the Vikings was pretty good. I don't know if we're seeing a bad football game here or winter ball.
A combination. Dorsey Levens doesn't get it around the corner. Robert Griffith comes up to make the stop, and Green Bay will have to punt out of their own end zone.
If you're going to get to the outside, you better get Robert Griffith blocked. You're going to see him come up here and make a heck of a play. And when they come up to stop the run with the 8th man, it's going to be Robert Griffith. And when Robert Griffith comes up, he's like a linebacker. He is one of the best strong safeties in all of football. He's always been one of my favorite guys. I mean, I just like the way he acts, the way he plays, and kind of what he stands for.
Well, he's coming off a broken leg. He missed 6 games because of that. normal guy would have missed the season. Don Morgan fields the punt just outside the 30-yard line. You talk about starting with good field position. This isn't bad. 7-3 Green Bay. Here from Lafayette, Louisiana.
And please circle us, and anyone from Lafayette, Louisiana that's a Packer fan that comes up to Lambeau Field will always be happy to circle and say Happy New Year to them and everyone else.
And that circle's not in an airplane, I can guarantee you that.
That's right. Favre for our MVP. That's going to be an interesting thing, that MVP race this year.
Yes, it is. Bennett stumbled and is taken down. Couple of yards. Tyrone Williams and Niall Diggs.
You know, this is just exactly the kind of game that Denny Green wanted. I mean, he didn't want, you know, Favre to go crazy, and by, you know, the weather was going to kind of not let Favre go crazy, but then he didn't want Ahman Green to, and they held him under control.
They have held him.
Keep the game close, and he said he'd like to get it close into the fourth quarter and beat him at the end of the game. And he said that last night.
Pass is almost intercepted and dropped by Sharper.
Okay, now here's what they're doing. You say, you know, what is it like when you roll? Here's the corner and here's the safety. And this is Randy Moss. And this is a type of coverage that he sees. See, you have a corner on him. He rides back, plays underneath. You have the safety over the top. And they're always going to have him in that position right there. Darren Sharper, remember in the last game up there in Minnesota, was Sharper doing the same thing. And he put some real licks on Randy Moss in that one.
Third down. That's Jake Reed.
And it's not going to be enough for the first down. You're going to see Jake Reed is out here, and he's going to run an out, and it's going to bring up fourth down, and they have to go for the field goal here. You know, if you had Dante Culpepper, maybe you would say, you know, let's do something fourth down. I think with Spurgeon win, you say we got pretty good position here. Even though it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, we better take the opportunity to try a field goal.
Lee Johnson is the holder. Gary Anderson, the kicker. And 3. And it's a 1-point game. Green Bay 7, Minnesota 6. With 5:07 left in the third. A good example of the wildlife that is also braving this frigid weather.
You know, we were on our way across the country, and in Utah, Willie saw an elk, he said.
That's very possible.
Yep. And then, I mean, he'd seen reindeer and he'd seen antelope, and one time he saw gazelles. So now
in Utah?
No, in Wyoming. He said he saw gazelles.
On the kicking team, 5-yard penalty.
I said, what the heck's that? Oh, I don't know about that, because the ball did fall off the tee, and you let it fall off the tee one time, and then you have to have a holder, and that was the first time it fell off the tee.
Yeah. I thought it had to do with the height of the tee or something like that.
No, I think, you know, the referee is the guy who's deep behind the offense, and he signals them to kick off. And if they don't kick off, then I guess they put the clock on them and say it was too much time. But the ball did fall off the tee. You got to give them that. You give them one free one. If it does it the second time, you have to have a holder.
This is Lee Johnson to kick it off, who also punts.
Not very far, either one of them.
Dorsey Levens, good return to the 45. 4:58 left to play in the third. Green Bay by 1.
Green Bay, you're looking at the tunnel at Lambeau Field, and for 44 years, some of the greatest players that ever played the game have come out of this chute to come play football. Now, because of the new renovations, you'll see some different things. The tunnel will be moved to the other side. That was today. Brett Favre came out of it. But this tunnel, if the Packers don't play here another game, this will be the last time they came out of this side of the field. It'll be on the other side. I got to tell you, as a player here, I came out of this tunnel. My father came out of this tunnel. When you get to the end of it, you do realize that you are playing in possibly the greatest stadium ever to exist in the NFL. Check it out.
Well, it's not going away. There's still going to be a Lambeau Field, and when you start talking about great players playing in a location, that name is, of those names, one of the longest lists you'll ever find.
Well, and then you go to coaches, and it's a long list.
Yeah. Let's go to Los Angeles right now for a game break. And James Brown.
Hey, Pat, take a look at Dallas. Quincy Carter having a career day. Slips, but he hooks up with Joey Galloway for a 47-yard hookup for the score. Quincy Carter, 14 of 22, 237 yards, 2 touches, 7 rushes, 28 yards, and a touchdown. And it's Dallas, 24-14 over San Francisco. Back to Pat and John.
How about that score?
Yep, here's the sack right here. You see Kylie Wong, the middle linebacker, just came over, moved over to the right side, came on a blitz, and no one picked him up.
2nd and 19. Flag on the play. Here's Amon Green. Struggling for 3 yards, maybe. Robert Tate made the stop.
There's a flag, and it's in that area of the defensive backfield. As you look, that official will sometimes call holding on the tackle, but it looked like it was deeper.
Number 97 lined up in the neutral zone. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
And there's Talance Sawyer right there. In the neutral zone is the ball. So his head or his hand is what it is over the ball. You see, you look at his hand, then right down there. In fact, I think both his head and his right hand are in the neutral zone. And you have to know that. I mean, that's just one of those things that all you have to do is look in there, and then if you can see that you're lined up in the ball, you just back up a little. Sometimes you can even ask the official on that side, am I okay? Obviously, Talance Sawyer didn't.
Favre drops it up the middle. Pass caught by William Henderson. Some stories about him retiring, which he now denies. He wants to play more.
But you know that a fullback is kind of a lost position. He doesn't play a lot of downs. And at one time in this West Coast offense, the fullback used to catch a lot of passes.
Oh, yeah. Roger Craig.
And then now in this offense, the fullback doesn't catch as many passes. And so he's just used as a kind of a ramrod blocker.
Up the middle, to Bubba Franks, who leaned toward the first down markers but didn't get there.
That's going to be interesting, though. It looks like it's going to be one of those things where they're going to spot it. I think if you look at the thing right here, it was on the line. Brett Favre is saying, let's go, so you can see that they have marked it short.
And they're going to go.
They'd have to get up to the 45-yard line. I think with this, it would be one of two things. Either you're going to hand the ball to Amon Green, who's very powerful, or Brett Favre, a quarterback, sneak it. I would say they hand to Amon Green.
That would be my guess.
Oh, they tried to draw him off sides. Maybe there was one of those things, no play. That's exactly what it was.
5 yards, still 4th down.
They were just going to try and fool him and get him to jump off sides. Talance Sawyer just a couple plays ago had lined up in the neutral zone. They were looking for one of those, and they didn't intend to run a play at all.
No, they didn't. 7-6 Green Bay lead, and they have to punt. Troy Walters back deep for Minnesota. Josh Bidwell will do the Green Bay punting. This is his best shot of the day. Bounces backwards and is knocked backwards. And the Packers are going to down it, but they'll go backward touched, I think. Looking for the perfect way to ring in the new year.
Now, the last time the Vikings were down this area, remember, in the 7-yard line, they got a good drive, then they got a good punt, and they put the Packers back on the 4, and then the Packers kind of did the same thing to them. Got a pretty good drive to back up the Vikings now in their 10-yard line.
Wynn will throw. Pass is caught by Jake Reed coming across. Let's go down to Ron Pitts.
Well, guys, the wind has picked up considerably considering the temperature and how it started out in the beginning of the game. That's why you're seeing most of the punt returners having trouble with the ball. In fact, both special teams coaches, Coach Gary Zahner on the Vikings side and Frank Novak on the Green Bay Packers side, have said if you're not 100% sure you can catch it, let it go.
And thus far, that's just about what they've been doing.
You know what else thus far?
What?
Chris Carter hasn't caught a pass.
Thus far.
And Antonio Freeman hasn't caught a pass either. There's Randy Moss after the last series. You can see that, you know, when you can't throw the ball, that you have a great receiver with great speed, and he's going to go through frustration. Talked to one coach, then he went and talked to Denny Green, and then he said, "To heck with that." Now he's talking to the offensive line coach, Mike Tice, and to get someone to listen to him. But that's frustration.
Yeah.
You know, and it's out of being a competitor and wanting to win and wanting to get the ball so that you can win, to help your team win. And I don't know that they're capable of getting the ball to either Randy Moss or Chris Carter.
Fox tonight start.
This is his second 100-yard rushing game. Last time he did it was against Tennessee.
You know, people that I talk to who know Randy Moss say he's angry all the time. Why is he angry? What's he got to be angry about?
I don't know. I think he just, you know, I mean, I think he's young, and there's probably a little immaturity with that, and you know, he does bring some baggage. But I still say that he's the most explosive player in the NFL, and you know, they paid him a heck of a lot of money to not be able to get the ball to him. Now, it's not. I don't think it's his fault. I don't think it's Denny Green's fault. I think, you know, Dante Culpepper, their quarterback, is hurt. Todd Bauman, the backup, is hurt. Spurgeon Wynn, quarterback, sneaks and gets the first down.
1st and 10, Minnesota.
You see here, you're always looking for the soft spot. Spurgeon Wynn sees it right to that right side. He tries to get behind David Dixon. Actually, you know, that's not a bad thing.
No.
To get behind that 350-pound guy.
You can hide behind him.
They tried to jump around David Dixon, and where they jumped out of is where Spurgeon Wynn went.
1st and 10, Minnesota. Here's Bennett. Wrapped up and bulldog down by Cledius Hunt. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score: the Packers 7, the Vikings 6. Fox NFL Sunday from Green Bay will continue after a word from your local Fox station. And there's heat that comes out of that.
I know. And you notice it's always wide receivers,
Yeah.
and backs, and the smaller guys that always need that heat.
You got to keep your hands.
Those linemen don't need it. They bring their own to the park. But they have those heaters on both ends, and that's one of the first things that players do when they come off is go to those heaters.
Virgin Wynn has it picked off by Bernardo Harris.
Bernardo Harris saw what happened to Darren Sharper when they had to pick off and then fumble it, and there was no way Bernardo Harris was going to fumble this one. Watch him. He's going to be sitting right here in the middle. He's just sitting and reading, and Spurgeon Wynn throws it right to him.
You know, I talked to him this morning in the parking lot, and he said, "I'm going to do something today that you can talk about."
Well, this is it right here, playing zone defense. You just get back and you just read the quarterback's eyes, Bernardo Harris did that. It looked like he was trying to force it into Chris Carter, but there were 4 green shirts around Chris Carter.
I'm on green and no place to go.
Hey, one thing, this Viking defense has done a heck of a job against Amon Green.
They really have. They've just totally shut him
And
down.
Amon Green is starting to get a little frustrated. I think one thing they probably have to do is start throwing some on first down. You look at Spurgeon Wynn is 3 of 14 for only 16 yards,
2
interceptions. Look at his quarterback rating, none. But they aren't going to win the game with Spurgeon Wynn. I think Denny Green has coached the game that way, and obviously he knows that.
Green moved after other movement.
False start offense. Number 30, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's a little frustration.
You look at the heaters down there.
Yeah.
We look a little updated weather here. The temperature is 20 degrees. With the wind chill, it's 5. So with the wind chill, the last time we checked it was 4 degrees. So we picked up a degree.
Yeah.
That'll make a difference. Now you can air it out. Now go for the bombs.
I don't feel it.
Now throw the big ones.
And here's Favre dropping, finding time and throwing complete. Antonio Freeman.
And I'll tell you, that's the thing that Brett Favre does so well, is watch him move here. You see, he doesn't have time. Now he's going to move out here, and he always goes to his right. Scramble a little, buy a little time, and throw on the run. That was Antonio Freeman's first catch today.
You know, they were trying to set up a screen pass to the left. And Favre came off of it.
Right. They had that picked up, so then Favre, instead of moving to his screen, he moved away from it and found Antonio Freeman.
1st and 10, first down throw.
Now there's the hit.
Anderson by Kylie Wong.
I don't know if I heard that or felt that all the way up here.
I heard it too.
And I think I kind of felt it because I kind of went boom, suey like that when it hit. Yeah. But you know that thing to Freeman, that 17-yard pass, that was the longest pass of the day. That was so good. Let's listen to that one again, man. If we can do that. Now you're talking.
Yep. But I heard a suey come out of you too.
I don't know where that came from.
Razorbacks would be happy to hear that. Ooh. Bradford twisted backward.
That Brett Favre can throw from more angles and more different ways and throw off his back foot and going backwards and running backwards after he throws than any quarterback. I'm not going to say just any quarterback that's playing now. I think any quarterback that's ever played. I mean, I've never seen someone do this. I mean,
pass
throwing forward and going backwards.
That pass was
yeah. No, he'll put it on you. I mean, he's not the most accurate of quarterbacks, though, but he can sure throw it from different angles.
Drops it to Green. They drop it to Green.
Orlando Thomas is the guy that dropped Green.
They're going to measure this for first down.
That's going to be awfully close. Orlando Thomas knew where that first down mark was, and he took an angle right at Amon Green or Dorsey Levens. And watch this angle that he takes. He's going to right there. Ooh. Number 42, Orlando Thomas. He came in and knocked him back to where he came from.
You hear him talk about momentum.
Well, that was the Orlando Thomas hit right there. That was the difference between being a first down and not being a first down, between letting the Packers have some more downs or having to go for a field goal. I think with a 7-6 lead, I agree with Mike Sherman. You don't want to do this. You hate to do it, but I mean, you have discipline and you have coaching and things that you're going to do and you have to do, and this is one. You have to kick the field goal in this situation.
And Mike Sherman is one of the most disciplined guys I've ever met. 24-yard attempt coming up.
And Orlando Thomas just came up on that last play with a big tackle.
24-yard attempt. Longwell drills it, and it's 10-6. A 4-point Packer lead. 11:57 left at Lambeau. The house of the Cheeseheads. Not necessarily those two, but they look like they're enjoying it.
She who will tattoo it will bear it. How in the heck they can do that? I have no way.
Why would you want to do something like that?
Because you can, probably. I don't know how you can.
The short kick comes down. Harold Morrow gets it out to about the 40. 10-6 Green Bay. 11:44 left in the contest. 10-6 Green Bay leads. I know what that sign says. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, no, I know. I appreciate you not saying it. Thank you very much. You and all my friends. We got the wave going on here at Lambeau, the old Lambeau wave.
Yeah.
In the end zone, coming around.
It's about the only place they still do that.
Yep.
Here's Bennett. For a game break, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, I wonder if John had emotions run this high before a game he coached in. The huge matchup between the Giants and the Eagles. Armstead telling the Eagles, get on your end of the field. Little pushing and shoving to drive that point home. The Eagles finally head down the other end. This is expected to be a very physical contest. Surefire indication right there. Back to Pat and John.
What are you talking about? Ever happen? It happened every game.
Yeah.
We had something before the game. We had it even before that. We had it in Denver getting off the bus when we still had our street clothes on.
Pass is caught by Chris Carter.
And that's Chris Carter's first catch. But I remember, you know, what we just saw there. Didn't that happen in Dallas when the 49ers played Dallas? It was with Jerry Rice.
Yes.
Same type of thing. So
I had it happen when I was playing with the Giants against Philadelphia.
So that goes way back.
Intense hate between those two teams. I mean, they really don't like each other.
You know, that's one of those NFL traditions.
Yep.
You know, that you have the geography too, because it's, you know, they're so close to each other.
90 miles. Incomplete pass. Chris Carter, the target. Spurgeon Wynn has not had an enjoyable day.
No, I mean, that's the tough thing. Anytime that he goes back to pass, there's been someone there, and anytime he throws it, there's been some green jerseys around there. So he just did get that completion, though, to Chris Carter. And again, with a score 10-6, I mean, I think that field goal was pretty big, because now instead of the Vikings just having to get a field goal, that made the Vikings now have to get a score to go ahead, a touchdown.
Doug Chapman gets a little.
Bernardo Harris better watch out.
Yep.
Oh, there comes the flag. I guess I said that a little too late, because Chapman was down, and it looked like Bernardo Harris pushed him after he was down. And that's not necessarily an unnecessary roughness, but it could be the combination of roughness and taunting.
A little nudge as he walked away.
This guy here is not going to let anyone see him. Who was that masked man that called that last penalty? Don't let him see your back. Whoops.
Here comes the rest of the group. And Larry Nemmers.
Personal fouls on number 80 of the offense, number 27 of the defense. The penalties were offset at the dead ball spot. Still second down.
You know, that's Tyrone Williams, is number 37. Number 80, of course, is Chris Carter.
Chris Carter says that he feels as good as he did when he first came in the league.
Let Spurgeon win after he hands off. He's going to keep those hands out of that hand warmer as little time as possible.
3rd and long.
Every player will say the toughest thing in cold weather is keeping your hands warm.
Wynn launches deep, and it's caught by Byron Chamberlain. Touchdown. Flag on the play. The official is down.
There's a flag back here.
Yeah.
Personal foul. 75, roughing the passer. 15 yards will be added to the kickoff. Touchdown is good.
The touchdown is good. You heard the call.
That was a heck of a throw by Spurgeon Wynn. You see Flanagan hits him here after he throws the ball. Darren Sharper, the safety, was back there, and he took a bad angle. Watch, Byron Chamberlain is going to run right down the middle. You see that cover 2? You always have those 2 safeties. You see he gets the ball there. You see Sharper come in and miss that tackle.
Yep.
And Chamberlain took it right in.
That's a heck of a catch.
I'll tell you, it was a pretty good throw,
Yes,
too.
it was.
You see Sharper had that, he had an angle, and then he just missed it, and Chamberlain just went right by him.
And at the end of all that, the official went down. I didn't see what happened to him.
Well, he got hit there in the end zone.
Back at Lambeau Field, Minnesota's just taken the lead, 13-10. 10 minutes to play.
And that was Spurgeon Wynn's first NFL touchdown pass. And it was that cover 2 we always talk about.
Yeah.
The corners up, safety's deep, and you can't hit him in the middle. Byron Chamberlain, the tight end, got in that middle, and Spurgeon Wynn got the ball to him. And the official went down. The official just tripped, and then, but as he was going down, like a true pro that he is, he called touchdown.
Had his hands up.
He had his back in the ground and his hands in the air.
Lee Johnson kicks off. Pretty good kick. Dorsey Levens will bring it back. Levens to the 20. Fox tomorrow catch performances by
Exactly the way Coach Denny Green talked about it last night.
Favre. Schrader.
Spurgeon Wynn, you look at his first 15 attempts, 27 pass yards, 2 interceptions. His last pass went for 47 yards and a touchdown. And he threw that one in there perfectly to his tight end, Byron Chamberlain, which is a place that you go against that when you have those 2 safeties on there. You do have a hole in the middle for that tight end.
Favre, Freeman to the 40. Not enough for a first, but a pass completion nevertheless.
That's an interesting thing. You know, that's that old counter bootleg that the Washington Redskins used to run. They pull Earl Dotson, the right tackle, they pull him to the left to give you a run key with a lineman and a back, and then bring the quarterback out to the right. Earl Dotson now playing right tackle, and they move Mark Tauscher to right guard for Marco Rivera.
Favre again. Schrader this time gets into Viking territory.
You see Schrader right out here. Again, he has that speed, so they always worry about him going deep. So when you have that speed and they worry about you going deep, you can't push him like you're going to go deep and then just turn and run that hook. That's what he did to Eric Kelly. Eric Kelly in there because Dale Carter pulled a hamstring earlier in this game.
Favre. Freeman comes down with it, but out of bounds. Yes, it's a catch, he says. He wasn't out of bounds. That That's a heck of an effort.
Yeah, right up there on the sideline. Brett Favre gets it in there perfectly. Watch him. He just drops that thing in there to Antonio Freeman. Now again, he has the ball. He comes down with his left foot. Then the right toe just hits. He did have both feet in.
Yes, he did.
That was a heck of a call. Left foot, right toe.
Come on, Green.
And the Packers weren't sure, Pat, so what they did is they got up and ran that next play quickly. But even had that play been challenged, Antonio Freeman did catch that ball.
And did get both feet down.
Brett Favre wasn't sure, so he was going to get his team in the huddle, get him up the line of scrimmage, get that ball snapped. Yes.
Wisely so.
Yeah, he's his best in cold weather, but he's also his best in these situations.
Up the middle, Bubba Franks, I believe, made the catch inside the 5.
Yeah, that's that same thing that Byron Chamberlain just did. Watch Bubba Franks. He's just going to go straight up there. He makes a little move. That's that cover 2. The middle linebacker's back there. Kylie Wong was right there. But he gets it right over Kylie Wong and right into Bubba Franks.
It was wobbling, but the result was good. Favre this drive, 5 out of 5, 72 yards, and it's 1st and goal.
And you get him woken up, and then this is what he does.
And Amon Green puts him in the end zone and back in the lead.
That was a heck of a drive. Amon Green caps it off, but that drive was about Brett Favre throwing. Took him 3 minutes, 35 seconds. And after Minnesota got the touchdown, Brett Favre came right back.
That's the way they normally look. We were talking about earlier, they look a little sluggish.
Well, I think earlier they were relying too much on just running of Amon Green and not the passing of Brett Favre.
17-13 Green Bay. The Packers almost made that drive look easy. Pat Summerall, John Madden back in Green Bay, where the Packers have just recaptured the lead.
There's a group that feels good about themselves. I was talking about the picture before, not these guys, but the Green Bay Packer offensive line. You know, when you get a drive like that, when you're behind, you know you have to do it. You know you have a great quarterback like Brett Favre, and you have to make something happen, and you go make it happen. You feel awfully good about yourself.
Harold Morrow to the 30.
Yeah, I talked to Brett Favre yesterday, Pat, on his way to hunting. The Packers had a practice here yesterday morning. He went hunting, deer hunting with bow and arrow before practice. Then he came here and he practiced. Then he went back and went hunting again after practice. Then we were here on Friday and he went hunting after practice.
And he also watched a television show about hunting in South Texas.
Yeah, he loves that. He told me, I said, well, did you get it? And he said, no. He said, I just get a bow and arrow. And he said, I just look at him. He said, I saw a couple does and a buck, but I'm looking for the big one.
That used to be the name of a night spot in my hometown, Buck and Does.
Buck and Does.
Yeah.
Look at this. Bernardo Harris, you see right here, is calling a timeout.
Timeout.
He got it.
Green Bay.
At that cover 2 he had, that you know when you're in cover 2 and you know that you are vulnerable in that middle with the tight end, and when they get you with a tight end in the middle where you know you're vulnerable, that upsets you. Here's their cover 2. You see there are 2 defensive safeties back there and the corners up. That's what cover 2 is.
Virgin Wynn trying to get it Chris Carter.
Yeah, we're not sure where Chris Carter is going to be. He believes he's not going to be back with Minnesota. He talked to the Green Bay people. They believe he's not going to be here in Green Bay. Although I will say this, when we talked to Denny Green, he said he thinks that Chris Carter will be back. I mean, I said, what do you think? And he said, I think he'll be back playing for the Vikings next year.
I think he'll play for somebody, assuming the money's right.
I think he's going to, because he wants to play. He said he feels good, he can still play. He said, why not?
Morrow gets the carry.
Holmberg made the tackle on Morrow.
Santana Dotson right there, number 71. They say that Santana Dotson's getting older. They don't play him as much as they used to. I remember I coached his dad. His dad, Alfonso Dotson, was a defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, and then later with me with the Oakland Raiders.
Same kind of player?
Yeah, very good player. Same position, inside, big legs.
Picked off by McKenzie. Touchdown, Green Bay.
That deserves a Lambeau leap.
Mike McKenzie. The third interception of the day for Spurgeon Wynn.
Here comes the rush or the push. Spurgeon Wynn has to kind of throw over it. Chris Carter fell down. Mike McKenzie just jumps right in front of him. But here's Mike McKenzie right here. And you see Chris Carter just goes to a knee, and McKenzie jumps in front and picks that off. I don't think Spurgeon Wynn saw Carter, nor did he see Mike McKenzie.
Longwell adds the extra point. And it's Green Bay 24.
And I'll tell you, in this fourth quarter,
Minnesota 13.
The Green Bay Packers do look like a playoff team.
Today's game is being produced by Bob Stinner, directed by Sandy Grossman. The associate director is Mike Roy. Broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Kerry Klosser. Technical producers Bob Muller. The pregame show was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill.
Mike McKenzie, I think, is one of those guys who's in his third year now. I remember Ron Wolf drafted him, and that year he drafted 3 corners. And McKenzie was the third corner that he drafted. But he really became the best one.
Yeah.
And he became a starter. And I liked him from day one. I mean, more importantly, the Packers liked him, and Ron Wolf liked him. And I think now in his third year, I think he's a Pro Bowl cornerback.
Speaking of Ron Wolf, you think he'll come back out of retirement somewhere else?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, he's still a consultant here with the Green Bay Packers. And why would you leave a great job like this, where you really have no owner, and you have probably in that situation the best job in the NFL? Why would you retire from that and go to someplace else that can't be as good as what you had here? So that's my take on Ron Wolf. And as I said, although he still is a consultant here with the Packers.
That's what I want to be someday.
A consultant?
A consultant. Because I've never figured out what that is.
Well, you go watch Navy play.
Next week, it's another full day of NFL action, beginning with the undisputed champion of pregame shows, Fox NFL Sunday. And these Packers back. The incidents of September the 11th took place, and the league didn't play that following Sunday. So these are the makeups. Spurgeon Wynn.
Spurgeon Wynn was going pretty well, and then his last 12 passes, 3 of them had been intercepted.
Andrew Jordan made that reception.
You didn't see Bernardo Harris. Right here, he's going to get hit by Vonnie Holliday just as he throws the ball. Vonnie Holliday has moved from his power end, with John Theory being hurt now, to the end that they call the elephant end, where you get to play a little more on the open side.
Bennett wrapped up in the middle by Harris.
I think he kind of likes that. I mean, he's never really, Vonnie Holliday was the #1 draft choice and really never got settled down. I mean, his best year was his first year when he just played right defensive end because the left defensive end was Reggie White.
And he was supposed to be Reggie White's successor.
Right, so the next year when Reggie left, then Vonnie Holliday became the left end. Then he became the power end where he goes to the strong side all the time. Now Theory's hurt and he's out here playing elephant.
3rd and 3. Michael Bennett. First down, Vikings.
And then the other guy that comes in is Bajabiamila. He's coming from the right side, number 94, who is a pretty good pass rusher. In fact, he's a natural pass rusher.
Welcome to those of you who saw Dallas defeat San Francisco 27-21. Here the score is Green Bay 24, Minnesota 13. We have 4:05 left.
Doesn't that shock you, Dallas beating the 49ers?
Yes, it does. For those of you who did just join us, to summarize what's happened, Minnesota's total yardage 251, Green Bay's 215. 3 Minnesota turnovers have hurt the Vikings. Vikings took the lead last on a 13-10 on a Byron Chamberlain pass touchdown catch.
And then Brett Favre went to work
Took
like
over.
a Brett Favre would. And was 5 for 5. Took the Packers right down the field and scored.
Pass caught by Chamberlain again.
And then we talk about Vonnie Holliday and we talk about, you know, what chipping is, or helping you have the tackle there, and then the back comes up and takes the outside shoulder and tries to knock him back into the tackle. And I'll tell you, that was a perfect shot of it. Travis Prentice came up and he knocked Vonnie Holliday right back into his right tackle, Chris Lewinsky.
That was a pretty good chip. Tomorrow is the anniversary of the famous Ice Bowl between Dallas and Green Bay. Bart Starr sneaked in the closing seconds, and it was cold that day. It was really cold.
What was it? How cold was it?
The wind chill was like 34 below or something like that. Temperature was 18, 17 below. I was on the sideline, and it was the next week before I ever got warm.
Yeah, with the wind chill, it was -46.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Now look at these guys. How in the heck can they do that? I mean, there's women and guys
I don't know.
with their shirts off.
Randy Moss spins around, has a first down.
They've kept him quiet. That was, you know, we talked about what Minnesota said they had to do, and what Green Bay defensively had to do is they wanted to control the run. They didn't do a real good job at that, but they didn't want Randy Moss to get any big plays, and so they rolled their coverage to him all day, and they really have kept him quiet. Part of it was that, part of it was the weather, and part of it was Spurgeon Wynn. He only caught 2 passes today for 10 yards.
Spurgeon Wynn spins out of the sack and rambles down just outside the 30-yard line, about the 32.
And you see him after he spun out, he had to straighten out his headgear. This is how they're covering Randy Moss here. We talk about rolling to him. See, Mike McKenzie is on him, and then the safety is going to come over. So in essence, they've had this on Randy Moss all day in passing situations.
And you saw him put his arm up, but there's no way that he was going to get open.
No, I mean, he thinks that there's a hole there, you know, once he gets by that corner, Mike McKenzie, before he gets to the safety. But he'd need Dante Culpepper to fire that one in here, or borrow Brett Favre for a series.
Pass complete to Bennett. Bernardo Harris, the tackle.
Bernardo Harris made that big play that he was telling you before the game he was going to make, and that was just zone, and he picked one off, and that led to a Packers score.
2 minutes to go. Green Bay up 24-13. There's a great one. The coverage on Randy Moss. It's Cole. Touchdown Vikings. The Lambeau leap.
You know, I think it's fitting that the Lambeau leap there was Mike McKenzie, a defensive back, because the guy that started that, you always think it would be a Brett Favre or Antonio Freeman or one of the running backs, but the guy that started that was Leroy Butler.
Pass incomplete. Jake Reed the target.
But it was Leroy Butler, the safety of the Packers, who's now on IR, that was the original Lambeau leaper. So when a Mike McKenzie does it after an interception, that kind of makes sense too. Then did you see in the pictures that one of the official on his back with his hands in the air? There's Leroy Butler right there. And
he's the guy who started it, huh?
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the first guy that did a Lambeau leap, and he was kind of the heart and soul of this defense too.
Pass caught by Chamberlain. Pushed out of bounds.
Chamberlain forced out of bounds by Dick.
This is what the standings look like. You see that already given Chicago a win, so that makes them 12-3. Give Green Bay a win, that makes them 11-4. So Green Bay still has a chance. You know, if they were to win next week and Chicago loses, then Green Bay would move up to that second slot, and then they would get the first round bye, and they would win the division because they have the tiebreakers and the fact that they've beaten the Bears twice. If they both win next week, then the Bears are the champion.
Win. Low and outside. The team that's amazing to me that seemed on the brink and playing well at one time was Philadelphia. Why are they unable to clinch?
I don't know. We just saw them last week, and they had trouble inside the 20. They had 7 shots at the goal line and couldn't make it. And here's the guy who's a football player. I think if someone just came from another planet or something, and you said, you know, what is a football player? I think you could show a shot of this guy here and say, there is a football player.
Here's the Randy Moss in around. Out of bounds. You know, you just brought something to mind. Remember the days on the All-Madden team when you gave each player a trophy?
Right.
That wouldn't be a bad one to have made right there.
Yeah, Brett Favre. And you can see the scenario here. They can clinch home field game with a win next week versus the New York Giants. Clinch a division in first round bye with a win and a Chicago loss. So that's what they're playing for. I mean, they're against the 49ers for a wild card home game, and they're against the Bears for winning the division.
It's first and goal, Minnesota. Win. Carter bounced off his hands. Don't say that often. Some of the best hands ever to play.
Tyrone Williams is playing with a heck of a lot more confidence. He got a couple interceptions last week, and you can just see here at the end of the game, I mean, Carter's not running much of a pattern there, and Tyrone Williams just kind of stayed with him and put his left hand out there and knocked that ball down. Denny Green has a whole rebuilding job to do with this team, Pat, and I don't know that it started this year. I think we had them at the end last year, and they lost their last 3 games. We did a couple of them. We did that championship game against the Giants, and they weren't very good.
Weren't very good is putting it mildly.
They stunk.
Yeah, they were terrible that day.
Yeah, and I think their problem started then. And then, of course, the tragedy of the Corey Stringer, the Robert Smith not coming back. All those things have been well documented, but I think it started, like I said, a year ago. Green Bay's 2-15, but Green Bay got it when they needed it. After Minnesota went ahead, Green Bay said, okay, let's get serious here. Let's take this game. Let's take this game over.
They look like a different team. Third down. They're at the 5. Third and goal. Wynn lofts it in the end zone and out. Incomplete. Carter took a little nudge out of bounds.
And then the fourth down, they'll just go for it here. And Green Bay will eventually get the ball back and just kneel down and run out the clock and get the victory and start to get ready for next week.
Yeah, they have to go to New York.
Yeah, this is a great place for football, though. Every time I come here, I think, that you just think of the history, the tradition. Ron Pitts was coming down that tunnel, and I remember a shot of Vince Lombardi going up that tunnel.
Yep. The Packers will take over. The pass is incomplete.
And these people come here and they stay and they enjoy their football. I mean, they've enjoyed it since all these names have been there. Look at them. I mean, they don't go to their houses. They come here early. They're out in the parking lot cooking and carrying on. Yeah. They just stay. Maybe that's why if any group of them had left, they would all freeze.
Johnny Blood McNally. That name fits up here, doesn't it?
It's a name. I remember that tunnel again and that shot of Lombardi going down that tunnel. And when I first coached here, when I brought the Raiders here, I looked at that, and that was my thought. Curly Lambeau, their first coach.
And God bless America, the all-time coach.
Antonio Freeman thinking it's nice to be back. I mean, he's been there in the good days. They slipped a little, and he's back now. It's a great feeling when you get to this point here, and you've won the game.
You're in the playoffs. Bart Starr, one of the many great quarterbacks here.
And here's one right here. I think I would take him, Brett Favre. Ball Horning.
Ray Nitschke, the late Ray Nitschke. Nobody ever enjoyed the game more than Ray Nitschke. Forrest Gregg, best lineman, according to Lombardi, he ever coached.
There's Mike Sherman, Denny Green, and Mike Sherman has come in here when Ron Wolf retired. Mike Sherman took over his job, and now he's a head coach and general manager, and very organized guy who does a heck of a job. But this guy right there, or that guy right there, Brett Favre, is really what it was all about.
Yep.
Look at him. And the whole thing, I mean, this is a game, and if it's a game, it should be fun, and it should be played that way. And he's the guy that plays it and has fun playing it, and he's never grown up.
Well, that's because he enjoys the game, playing so much. Packers beat the Vikings.
I think the worst thing that could happen to Brett Favre is for him to become an adult.
Yeah, not be able to play anymore.
And I don't know that that's ever going to happen. He talks about being old and stuff, but I don't think he really means it.